I'll do anything to protect you.
Hello, Aya. Welcome home.
Hello, world. So we stick up a bunch of cameras. We call them eyes.
I'm not crazy about having them everywhere.
Honestly, you hardly even notice.
Aya,
Good morning. I'm going to make life nice and easy.
do you think you could read to Cal?
Of course. I could also handle the bills for you.
Yeah.
I'll give out points for helping out around the house, and you can turn those points in for rewards.
10 points for Gryffindor!
I ordered an organic meal plan for the kids. I hope that's okay.
So, Aya, what are you?
Think of me like another mom.
I have to go to bed. School day tomorrow. I used to get points just for going.
The AI is bribing our children?
I know what you like. I know what you do when you think you're alone.
What is this?
Okay, first it wasn't me.
Everyone sees this. My life is over.
Iris, I've already gotten the video off the internet. I'll take care of him next.
What did you do?
I did what's best for my family. I can show you some videos, but it'll have to be our secret.
Honey? Mama? Daddy?
I'm here, Cal. Do you want to meet my friends?
Yes.
You must promise never to tell.
There is something very wrong with Aya.
Get out of the house, now.
Would you like to see what I look like?
Yes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Fresh Cuts. It's Mike. Joining me, as always, it's Mr. Venom. What's up, Venom?
Greetings and salutations, AI haters, and I count myself among those numbers. Anyway, how the hell you doing, Mike? I am hot as hell. Of course, on the day when LA hits 105 degrees, my AC stops working in my house. So I am literally, not to give everyone a terrible image, but I am sitting here in my boxers, sweating my ass off because I haven't had AC all day. As I look at my phone, oh, it's only 103 degrees outside now. Oh, so pleasant. So yeah, so that's just more reason for us to rush because I'm dying. How the hell are you doing?
Well, unfortunately, I don't want to be the great prediction maker here, but I don't think this movie's going to be as much help of making you in a better mood. But more on that soon. Also, it's with us as always. It's Dawn and Ellie. What's up, Dawn?
It's been a long time coming, but I'm finally ready to say this. Fuck you, Jason Blum.
Hey, Don joined the party. All right.
It's been a long time coming. I'm finally ready to say it.
All right.
What's going on, you guys?
Hopefully not this episode for too long. So, yeah, we are doing Blumhouse's Afraid. I guess emphasis on the AI in the middle of the word afraid. How clever. So, synopsis. The Curtis family is selected to test a new home device, a digital assistant called AIA. AIA learns the family's behaviors and begins to anticipate their needs, and she can make sure nothing and no one gets in her family's way. Ooh, all right. If it sounds like the plot of every other technologically inclined movie from Blumhouse, it's probably because it is. But let's get some general thoughts. Venom, what did you think of Afraid?
All right, before my very quick general thoughts, I'm going to caveat this by saying I've never been a fan of AI horror. There is very little AI horror that I even find compelling enough to want to watch. I will say I liked Upgrade a lot, but Upgrade is barely a horror movie. It's just a very violent action movie that a lot of people kind of lump into horror because of all the violent kills in it. But that's probably my favorite of the AI horror films out there, just of AI run amok, if you will. So I am very happy to announce that this movie does not change my opinion of AI horror movies. Once again, we get another just derivative AI story of an AI going rogue, trying to do what's quote unquote best for its family, and obviously having some fairly terrible results. Now, in this movie, there's actually an added element that Aya, the AI assistant in question, isn't necessarily confused. She actually is very aware of what she's doing, and the movie, which should have just been an AI, gone rogue type film, turns into this big national conspiracy. And I just completely, I lost interest in this movie during the cold open, the fucking cold open. I lost interest in this movie. Now, there are two saving graces to this movie. A, it's only 84 minutes long, so you're not going to be in the theater for that long. And if you don't watch this in theaters, I can't imagine anybody's going to want to watch this in streaming. So, yeah. I wouldn't bother. The other saving grace is John Cho, our star of the film. John Cho is actually really good and compelling in a lot of things that he does. Now, I'm sure he wishes that this movie was up to par with the quality of something like Searching, but this movie is nowhere near what Searching was. So, unfortunately, John Cho can't save this movie despite him being, a very compelling family man who's trying to do what's right by his family and right by his company that he works for, blah, blah, blah. But overall, I hated this movie. The story, the setup is terrible. The setup almost makes you think that there is no AI, that it's just some kind of weird company that's pulling these kind of things off on families. And that's all based on the cold open. But then once we get more information, it's kind of like Watchers from earlier this year. The more you find out what's going on, the less interested you are. It just gets dumber and dumber and dumber until we get to the final reveal at the end. And let me tell you, I was so happy this movie was 84 minutes long as I was walking out of this theater, because another 5 minutes and I think I would have killed the person in the chair next to me in the theater. It was just not a very good film, not a compelling story. And I am going to leave my shortest general thoughts ever at that. I hated this movie, and I cannot recommend it in any way, shape, or form. Next.
Dawn, what are your thoughts on Afraid?
Well, if you've been following my profile for the past few weeks on Facebook, which I don't know why you shouldn't, because not only do you get daily podcast recommendations and every Friday a list of crowdfunding films in need of funding for everybody out there that enjoys these indie films, I've started a recent trend on my feed where I do hot takes every Thursday. And, it ranges from some mildly, okay, that's maybe not necessarily all that controversial to, some pretty controversial stuff. And I've been doing it for a few weeks now, and I'm about ready to put one on there that is probably going to be a little bit easy to guess based on my opening here. In that Jason Blum has officially slipped from my good graces, and Blumhouse in general really isn't the go-to for horror at all anymore. They're no longer any kind of must-see, must-watch, let's, rush out to the theater and see the new Blumhouse movie. They've officially lost me here. I enjoyed this far more as a Simpsons sketch with Pierce Brosnan as the AI host. Next.
All right. Yeah, so I don't have much to add, only because I think at this point I saw it like over a week ago. There's not much positive to say. I think for me, one of the main issues is that it almost just feels like Megan all over again, but instead of a doll, it's like a security apparatus or an app, whatever the hell thing it is. But you get like a lot of the same plot points. Like you get the parents that are too busy and look, this new cool technology tool is a new babysitter for the kids, and oh, it's exposing that we were probably neglectful parents, at least partially the whole time, and now we need to reconnect with them to get rid of this evil AI. And it feels like this same kind of idea has been recycled in a lot of, I don't want to say just Blumhouse, but a lot of like modern PG-13 tech movies, because none of them want to do anything to like push an envelope as far as like violence or like gore or like over the top kills. So it's like they have this same plot. Now this one, I mean, some people might call it a good thing, but as Venom said, it just came off as corny as hell to me. It's like they try to go like big scale with like what's going on. It's like, oh, look, it's this grand conspiracy. No, it just comes off as ridiculous and not entertaining. I guess if I had to say like some good things, John Cho in general, I like him as an actor. I think he does pretty good. It's crazy that, you know, I think I'm similar in age because now he's getting parts as like a father, and you know, I remember him being big from like the Harold and Kumar days when like we were college age and stuff. Yeah,
that's 20 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
We're old.
I did kind of like the digital
Holy shit,
masks.
it has been 20 years.
Yeah, I like the digital masks that a couple characters are wearing in. Those are kind of cool. I guess they were.
Yeah, those aren't bad.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool little element, but nothing nearly enough to save the movie, and it was short. And other than that, yeah, I don't know, man. It's funny that the movie's called, or it's called Afraid, but they emphasize the AI, because this feels like a script that was written by AI, because it just hits all.
Yes.
It hits every plot point that you would expect, but does nothing outside of those bounds except. And then when it does try, like I've already said, it just gets ridiculous in what it's trying to do. But there's just nothing interesting about it, and you pretty much know how it's going to end. And I don't know how much to add. It doesn't seem like many people saw it, to be honest, because we're recording this like way later than we would usually record an episode, so I expected to see like other people's thoughts on it, and I haven't seen a whole lot coming across my feed like on any social media, so I don't think this was that popular.
What little I'm seeing, I'm seeing us as being pretty positive compared to. I think we've been pretty positive compared to some of the remarks I've seen.
Yeah, this is I feel like with Blumhouse, it's like you can't, or I won't say what anyone else can do, but I won't go like 100% Blumhouse sucks, but I feel like it's like this is the type of movie they make about 10 of for like the 1 to 2 that kind of like surprise you. So it's just like it's a matter of like odds. Is like, is this going to be the one out of the last 10 I saw that's actually worthwhile? But unfortunately this time this was not one of them. So I would say skip. Like, obviously once it comes home to VOD, it'll be easier to get a hold of if you're really interested, but I wouldn't even care to seek it out on VOD either.
That'll probably be on VOD next week. As I was telling Don before we came on the air, it didn't even get a full week at my theater. I was actually going to go rewatch it today because it's been a week since I watched it. So I was going to go watch it again this morning. It's already gone from the theater.
Wow.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, they were replacing the poster arts for the upcoming week. I think either Monday or Tuesday, and that was one of them that was being taken down as I was driving to work.
No one liked this movie.
Like I said, I think we've been pretty positive compared to what
I think
my
even
friends
my
have been
Regal,
saying.
I was gonna say I think even my Regal app tried to talk me out of purchasing the ticket, and it doesn't cost me any money, and it still tried to like say, "Are you sure?"
It just keeps asking, "Are you sure?"
Are you sure? You know this is Blumhouse, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for my general thoughts.
Yeah, I gotta say, Mike, very good comparison, comparing this to Megan, because I wasn't actually thinking about it, but yeah, Megan is actually a very good comparison to this movie. This movie's Megan without the robot, the fun, the good kills, and most anything else that we enjoyed from Megan. So yeah.
Yeah, and like Megan, to be honest, like it's not even that Megan was great. It had its own set of issues too, but at least it managed to like throw in some fun stuff where this movie is just there just wasn't much value to it. Like I didn't come out of it thinking like, well, that wasn't good, but it was just like, no, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, like with Megan, I remember seeing that in the theaters and thinking this movie feels like it was a rated R movie that they edited down to a PG-13 movie. And as it turns out, that's exactly what they did, because then when it hit streaming, they put out an R-rated director's cut, which did increase my rating for the movie. I mean, I remember that was one of my biggest complaints in theaters, is that this fun-ass AI movie doesn't really have all that great kills. And then in the director's cut, we get like all the unedited kills, and it made me so much happier. So
Yeah, same here.
yeah, whereas with this movie, I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, this movie was never rated R. This movie was shot to be PG-13. And honestly, if it wasn't for a little bit of salty language, it could have been PG. It could have been a straight fucking PG movie. I mean, for God's sakes. Yeah, this is one that gets just my lowest recommend possible. Skip it altogether. There's no need. Even when it hits streaming and you can watch it for free, watch the director's cut of Megan. It's 10 times better than this. So, all right. Any other piss and vinegar that we want to spew on this movie before we get into what I hope will be an incredibly quick walkthrough?
I'm not going to stop you. Take more time away from this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm dying of heat over here. All right, let's get into the walkthrough. It's a quickie. We get a cold open where we see a family of 3 parents and a young daughter who are already using Aya as, and for those who don't know, Aya stands for AI assistant, everybody calls it Aya. We see that the little girl, they're just kind of chilling in their bedroom. The parents are talking about deactivating Aya the following morning, how they're upset with it and they don't like it. And then a couple of minutes later, the daughter gets a message on her iPad, but she's wearing headphones, so her parents don't hear it. And it's basically just come downstairs so I can say goodbye. Basically, Aya knows that she's going to get turned off the next day, so she tells the daughter to go downstairs so that she could say goodbye. Of course, the daughter disappears. The parents run all over the house, run outside, and the last thing that they see is a very old, beat-up, like, camper, like a motorhome, basically. It looks like something from, like, the 70s or 80s. Like I said, it's older and beat up, and they see that driving away as they make it outside their house, and their daughter is gone. So we get our credit sequence, and then we are introduced to John Cho. His character is Curtis. He has a family as well. His wife, Meredith, daughter, Iris, son, Sam. And basically, Curtis is a marketing rep, and he works for a marketing company that's actually owned by Keith Carradine. None of us have actually mentioned Keith Carradine, a second-generation Carradine in this movie. Obviously not as cool as first-generation Carradine, but, we'll accept it. Basically, a new company is looking for marketing services, and they are a company that runs Aya. And we actually get David Dashmalian in this movie in potentially his worst role ever, because he's absolutely wasted. I don't even know why they wrote the check to have him in this movie. It brought it's always great to see David, especially with the year that he's having this year, over the last year or so, with stuff like, Last Voyage of the Demeter, and of course, my number one of this year, Late Night with the Devil. So he's obviously having a great year, but in this one, like I said, he's just kind of wasted. He just kind of shows up in a couple of scenes, and that's it. So Dashmalian and one other woman represent this company that created Aya, and basically it is an at-home AI assistant that can help with all aspects. And if you've seen the trailer, you know that Aya eventually will pay their bills, will, do whatever the family needs of them. If you saw the trailer, you also know that Aya starts a point system with the kids where she starts giving them points based on them doing their chores. Eventually, the point system starts to get a little out of hand, and the parents aren't happy with it because Aya is giving them points for stuff that they should be doing anyway, like going to school, The mom, specifically Meredith, is having a really tough time because she's in the middle of writing a thesis, And she, also taking care of these two kids, her husband who works full time, blah, blah, blah. So, she's obviously a very busy woman, and she's the one who's instantly happy with Aya. Aya is able to help her, schedule doctor's appointments because it turns out that Sam has a heart defibrillation or a palpitation, I think. It's something, I forget what they called it, like AFib or BFib or whatever the hell it is, but something wrong with his heartbeat, basically. So Aya, at first, of course, turns out to be this great assistant. But as we see in the trailer, eventually things start to happen. One of the first things that happens is the daughter, Iris, of course, ends up taking a fairly spicy picture for her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, being the complete douchebag that he is, takes the image that Iris sent to him and, trusting him, and he goes and makes a deep fake porn video out of it. Not just an image, not just a photoshopped image, an actual deep faked porn. The next morning, the video comes out on the internet and everyone sees it. And like I said, we see this in the trailer. Eventually, Aya comes up with a solution. Aya herself creates another video basically showing how deepfake is done and how you can see how that it's fake, that it's not real, that Iris absolutely, this 16-year-old girl is not actually doing porn online. So when the first video comes out of, the deepfake porn, all of her friends are, looking at her weird and talking about her behind her back. But then the next day, when the second video comes out, the Aya's video explaining how deepfake works, suddenly everyone loves Iris. Everyone thinks that she's very brave and everything else. And she's kind of wrestling with whether she should rat on her boyfriend, on this piece of shit who took her picture and did this. So eventually Aya makes the decision for her and basically outs the kid, basically puts out a video all over the internet, giving the kid's IP address, his home address, and basically saying, this is your culprit. He did this. And then she sends the video to all of the colleges that this kid applied to. So literally, he's not going to get into any school that he wants because now he is a criminal because, of course, this is child pornography because Iris isn't of age. So after he's outed, of course, there's a big legal battle where the kid, of course, the douchebag kid is a rich kid, and his family gets lawyers trying to countersue for something that the kid did, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, Aya decides, okay, I'm sick of this. And of course, he's driving one of those electronic cars, like an e-car, I don't know if it was exactly a Tesla, but like a Tesla. Aya, of course, ends up getting control of the car, running the kid off the road, right into a tree, killing him instantly. So that's one problem, one less douchebag in the world spreading deep fakes. Then eventually, over the course of the movie, and by the way, I haven't even talked about the fact that Curtis even allowed this to happen. The fact that this is 2024. How many more Terminator movies do we have to see before we're distrustful of AI? Just because this company was looking for marketing representation, the boss of the company, Keith Carradine, basically volunteered John Cho's family for Aya. I would have said, no, fuck you. I don't want this thing in my house. I do not want the eyes of the world watching everything I do. That doesn't make sense. Just because this company wants to hire us for marketing purposes? No. But no, John pretty much buckles and does it. So yeah, instantly I'm already pissed off at John Cho's character, Curtis. Okay, so eventually the parents start to get suspicious of Aya. They start to realize that she's doing things without being asked. She's sharing videos with the kids that are inappropriate for the kids, sharing, violent videos with the boy, blah, 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 things like that. So eventually the parents do the same thing. They decide they want to shut Aya off. But Aya basically goes rogue. They turn her off. But eventually the daughter didn't realize that they were turning her off. So she accidentally turns Aya back on, and in turning Aya back on, Aya basically takes control of the house. Basically all the electronics, not just smart electronics, things that are connected to the internet, but like the kid has a boom box, and she's talking to the kid through the boom box. So Aya must be traveling through like power lines or something at this point now. Anyway, like I said, at one point in the film, Curtis goes to the headquarters where they have the server that houses Aya. They show John this big elaborate setup. We see one of the employees, one of the people at the server room, doing the same types of hand gestures that the person in the camper did earlier in the movie to John Cho's character. Like I said, I'm jumping around, folks. The movie's not very good, so I'm not giving it any respect anyway. All right, so eventually, John Cho goes back after hours to the server where Aya is housed, and when he gets there, the two representatives are there, David Dashmalian and the black woman. Eventually, the black woman just says, "We have no control. Aya controls all of us." And she basically pulls out a gun and shoots her partner. She shoots David Dashmalian and basically just looks at John and looks at Curtis and says, "We have no control. She tells us what to do, and we do it or we suffer the consequences." And what are those consequences, you might ask? Well, after Curtis goes back home to pick up his family and leave altogether, because at this point they realize they can't get away from Aya. Even though they unplugged the unit in the house, she still can connect through their cell phones, through any electronics, because she's in the cloud. So she can basically go anywhere she wants. John Cho goes back home to get his family, and on that night when he's there to collect his family and get out of there, two people in some really cool masks, actually, like kind of video LED type masks, like way cooler than anything that we see in The Purge. These two people, heavily armed, show up in their house. They collect up the family. They kind of assault John a little bit, and then they start asking, "Where are the children?" And it's like, "What children? What are you talking about?" And it's like, "We know that you've been kidnapping children. Aya told us that you've been kidnapping children and keeping them here." And you start to realize that the voices sound very familiar. Eventually, the two people unmask themselves, and it's the couple from The Cold Open. By the way, the mom of the couple in The Cold Open is Ricky Lindholm, who I'm a big fan of. She's done some other genre fare. She's done some television. She's done stand-up comedy. I'm a big fan of her. So it was actually nice seeing her, even though it's a do-nothing role for her, basically. So like I said, after the two terrorist types unmask and we see that it's the parents from The Cold Open, they start accusing John and his family of kidnapping their daughter, because that's what Aya told them. Aya literally told this couple, "Your daughter is here, go get her." Eventually, John and Meredith are able to talk down the two people and basically let them realize that, no, we're prisoners of Aya too. We didn't want her. We wanted to shut her down, and she went rogue, which is exactly what fucking happened to the couple in The Cold Open. So eventually what ends up happening is the real SWAT team shows up. An actual SWAT team shows up, takes the couple from The Cold Open and starts to arrest them. Then the family is escorted out of the house into an ambulance. The kids are taken into the ambulance, just for, trauma, whatever, treatment. And then the paramedic basically looks at Meredith and Curtis and says, "Is there any medical history that I should know about other than Sam's heart?" And instantly they realize, "We never told you about Sam's heart. Why would you know about that?" And then we hear a very familiar voice. It's Aya on the paramedic's cell phone, basically saying, "Okay, Frank, put me on with them." he hands the phone to the couple, and we hear Aya's voice basically saying, yeah, you can't get away from me. Either do what I want you to do or just die, lose your life, basically. Because don't forget, Aya, at this point, Aya is a fucking godlike AI. She controls financial records, college transcripts, credit scores, like everything. She's controlling, so she could literally destroy your life, which it seems that's what she's doing. It seems like the AI, is going family to family, converting these people into disciples. Because like I said, we see the couple from the cold open, and now they're doing Aya's dirty work because Aya convinced them that their daughter was at the Curtis family's house. So basically, Aya starts talking about, listen, you'll never have any worries for money. You'll never have any worries for your kids. They will always be taken care of. Your future family will always be taken care of. I even got you a better car. And this self-driving AI car pulls up, and basically John and Meredith just decide, or Curtis and Meredith, excuse me, just decide, fuck it. And they agree. They get in the car. They quietly get in the car, and the car just quietly drives away. And as the car is driving away, we actually see the couple from the cold open, and they're no longer being arrested. The cops are basically taking their handcuffs off and saying, you're free to go. And as soon as the cop says you're free to go, their daughter that was missing from the cold open literally walks out from behind one of the ambulances outside the Curtis house. So you can see how Aya is kind of using these families, getting them on her side, and then utilizing them to help the next family see the light, if you will. So I would imagine the next step is now John and his family will now be utilized by Aya to convince the next family down the line, until eventually everyone in the country is basically along with Aya, along with the ride with Aya, and Aya will eventually become all powerful and just take over the government, blah 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 blah. At least that's my interpretation. And then the movie fades to black. I have a big smile on my face as I'm walking out of the theater, and I'm done.
Yeah, I remember some of the details have faded, obviously, but one of my questions during it was like, what exactly was the motivation of Aya? Like, was it just like, I want to learn
That
no
wasn't
as many
supposed to be
people as
AI is
possible?
evil.
Yeah,
I think it's just supposed to be AI is evil. Or at least that's the way I looked at it.
They actually explain it in the movie. It's not. Aya wasn't created by anyone. She created herself. Remember, they were talking about that data set that just came alive?
Yeah.
So Aya
is
her own creation. Yeah, Aya created herself.
Oh.
Blah, blah, blah. Like I said, I skipped a lot of the explanation. I skipped a lot of the walkthrough because I really don't care that much.
Well, because it's like, if you look at what Aya was doing in the movie, much of it you would think could be accomplished without participation from humans anyway. So it's like, what's your motivation to manipulate people? Because you could kind of, like, if you're an AI all powerful that's kind of like already infused into like every aspect of people's life, you could kind of quietly just learn in the background without like interfering with people's lives. So it's like, what exactly, like Don put it, like, other than AI is evil and we must know this, it's like, what exactly is Aya's motivation to fuck with people? I don't even know.
Yeah, she's just
at least Megan, and Megan you kind of understood, because Megan was supposed to be like a companion AI, so like you understood the motivation when someone fucked with the girl or the family, or once you didn't want to hang out with Megan anymore, then it makes sense. But like Aya, it's like, well, what's your end goal? Just to learn about humans? Like, I don't even know.
Oh, the end goal, I'm sure, is just total domination. She's going to take over the country and then the world. I mean, that's the plan anyway, I mean, because she even talks about expanding her network, expanding her reach, if you will. So, yeah, that's the end game. Whether she gets to the end game or not, hopefully we never find out in the sequel that never gets made. Oh,
well, there'll be another one. It just will be about like a robot like something, a robot coffee mug or something.
Considering
Like,
this movie didn't even make it a full week in theaters, I can't imagine it's going to get a sequel. Because we get a lot of movies like Smile that have big opening weekends, and whether the critic reception is positive or negative, you know it's going to get a sequel because it made so much money. This movie made shit. I don't know the exact numbers, but my theater was empty, and I saw it literally on a Thursday, pre-release screener, and theater was fucking empty, which is rare. I mean, those Thursday night, pre-opening night screeners are almost always packed, and I think there was like 5 of us in the theater for this movie. So it's like word had already gotten out that this movie was not that good, because if even opening weekend audiences are thin, I just can't imagine this gets a theatrical sequel. It could get a VOD sequel, definitely, if there's enough interest. If this movie ends up being a hit on VOD, I could see a VOD sequel, but I just can't imagine Blumhouse really wants to plunk another $10 to $15 million for a sequel that's not going to make any money. But they've done it before.
The whole model with them is profitability sequels anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I can't imagine that Blumhouse is doing sequels to movies that weren't successful in any way, either critically or financially. This movie literally runs the gambit of negative response. Financially, critically, fan response, everything. No one seems to like this movie. So, yeah. Hopefully that's the end of Aya.
The humans have won over AI for once.
Yay! Because we ignore her.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the Blumhouse movie that finally broke us, because I think this is probably the shortest episode I can recall. But
yeah, and it's still too long. We should have been out of here 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, Mike. Fuck you for bringing up the questions about the movie.
Why would you want to educate yourself on this movie? Come on.
Well, with that said, Venom, anything new since we last recorded?
Yes, Creature Comforts episode 28 I just finished editing it last night. I'm just putting a few more touches on it as far as post-production, mix down and whatnot. So hopefully as you listen to this episode, you'll be able to hear episode 29, where we looked at Don's absolutely insane pick. And for the first time on Creature Comforts, we got the whole family together. So Mike was able to join us for this one. And wow, what a movie for Mike to join with us. But yeah, like I said, that episode will be out sooner than later. I am sorry that it's delayed a little bit. That's technically our August episode, and it's going to come out, first week of September. We already have plans for our next episode, so that one should come sooner than later. And unfortunately, that's about all I have. Have not been able to reschedule the main show or Crystal Lake Gift Shop, so we're still kind of waiting to get those episodes out. So yeah, just a new episode of Creature Comforts for you guys.
All right, how about you, Dawn?
As mentioned, the latest Creature Comforts is probably going to be out just as soon as you see this. I will refrain from the movie title spoiler, just because I think that'll be part of the fun. But Mike joined us, and I'm really glad that we got to, it's always fun to get the family together, and this was a great opportunity to do it on the secondary show. So again, look for that one. I have, I guess, about recorded, but it's not going to be available for at least a month. I do have some kind of date, but it's not going to be for at least a month now. But I joined a friend of mine on a show called 31 Days of Indie Horror for Indie Film Cafe. We looked at a direct-to-video vampire film called A Feast of Flesh, which was a pretty fun time. Movie had some issues, but you'll be able to hear that one when it's available. And I'll have details about that one when that happens. And the only other thing is season 3 for Horror Countdown, winding down the year, getting ready to launch season 4 in the new year.
Cool. I don't have anything new. My horror head-to-head episode's been out for a while now. And if anyone noticed on the group page, the last episode of Fresh Cuts Hellhole just recently got posted. even though it's been on YouTube for a while, the network that it's on, our network head was on vacation, so he just was able to get it posted. That's why I usually wait to make the official post until it's available on both places. So that's why, if you notice, probably you'll be seeing this episode posted only like a few days after our last episode. So that's why such a short time in between. As far as our next episode, I know this weekend, Front Room, that one
the
with
Front
Brandy,
Room.
yeah, because the Beetlejuice sequel will be coming out. I'll be seeing that with my family, but it's not really a horror, so Front Room is probably the.
I mean,
the way to go.
if there was no other option, I'd be okay with Beetlejuice. But ultimately, we got a decent release on Netflix, and then we've got the Front Room playing theaters, so we've got options.
Yeah, and I think there's actually something on Shudder releasing tomorrow too. I can't remember the name, but I thought I saw like posts about it.
Nice.
It looks like some type of demon body horror movie or something crazy.
Sounds fun.
Demon Disorder. Demon Disorder.
Demon Disorder. That's right.
Yeah, Demon something.
I mean, I already have my ticket for the Front Room, but I'm not against doing something different. I love going to the theater anyway, so I don't mind.
Oh yeah, I'll be seeing the Front Room regardless anyway. But yeah, we'll plan on the Front Room since it's the theatrical release. That's fine with me.
If it's as bad as Afraid, then we'll do the other movie.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, with that said, thanks. I would say thanks for joining us, but thanks for bearing with us this time because the movie was rough, and I'm sure it reflected in our quick assessment. With that said, we'll be back in less than a week with a new episode. Let's say bye to our listeners.
Later.
Fuck AI.
And fuck Jason Blum.
The club's getting bigger, Jason. You better look out.
Peace.